So today I'm going to be installing a Robert axle project hitch mount through axle onto my 2015 Turbo X. And we're using product number 1ONE005, which is a 12 by 135 1.0 millimeter thread pitch axle. As you can see here, it says, get that to focus, I'll just read it, 152 to 167 millimeter is the length. And the reason it's multiple lengths is there is this spacer here, which we actually will not be needing. The length of the Turbo X axle is about 160 millimeters, so we're going to be on the long end of that range. And then at the end here, we have the bolt and washer for where I'm going to be adding this hitch mount. So, first thing we need to do is take out the axle. So here I've got 5mm hex, and we'll just untighten the existing through axle. This right here is my my cargo carrier mount. So that's not normally on the bicycle. And when you're taking out your axle, it's a good idea to hold down the bicycle. I can put my hand on top of my frame, my bike rack up here, but you can just grab on the frame somewhere and hold it downward. When using the kickstand on the base Turbo and Turbo X, I forget what kind of kickstand the Turbo S has, but it tends to want to roll towards the front tire. At least on mine it does. And so once we get it loosened, all we have to do is just pull straight out. And holding it down will cause it so that the wheel doesn't pop downwards from between the frame bars here. And it should just pull straight out. Just like that. And if I let go, now it's going to want to pop back up. So it's good to kind of hold it down. That way you're not going to have to realign anything. It'll just stay where you can just slide the new axle back in. So here is the specialized axle next to the Robert axle project axle. As you can see, there is a difference in length. The threads down here are about the same length, and this is where we're going to use one of these two spacers. So I will take that off, and I'll place just this one tapered spacer on there, and this one we don't need. Alright, and so now if we compare them together, we notice that the lengths are pretty darn close, and there is some slack here to which you can tighten it down more or less. So being a little bit off is not going to be a deal breaker in this. Alright, so now we'll install this into the hole here and go from there. So again, if you have your hand somewhere on the frame, just to make sure that this wheel doesn't pop down. If it does, you can just push everything back up into here. there is only one way this wheel will go in. There is a loose piece of metal attached to both sides of the wheel that has some different shapes to it, and you just need to align those in the only way that they will fit going back in there, and it should seat in properly. But we'll just push the new axle through, just like that, and then I'm going to take off this nut here and washer, and you should be able to, as long as you're lined up properly. And I am not. There we go. So now I should feel some resistance in there. I try and just hand tighten it at first. And then you know that you're into the threads on the other side because you won't be able to pull it back out. And so we do have now a 5mm point at which we can tighten down the new axle. If you didn't have your Allen key with you and you needed to change your tire, you could use, this is just another Allen key, but you could use like a screwdriver or maybe some kind of stiff piece of metal and slide it through here, and you could turn that as well. So I kind of like that. You're not stuck only using an Allen key. You do have some way, if you can find something, you know, that's going to be stiff enough to turn the axle to get your wheel off in the future. Alright, and then on the Turbo X, I'm guessing on the other turbos right here, they do mention that they want 10 to 15 Newton meters of torque to be applied to the axle. I don't have a torque wrench. So now I'm going to just take my hex bit here and place it onto my torque wrench. And most torque wrenches are the same. I don't know if you can see this. I don't have the greatest lighting in here, but NM stands for Newton meters. And I want between 10 and 15 Newton meters of torque as specified by the bike here. Robert Axle Project recommends about 10. And so because this is a foot-pounds torque wrench, all the even numbers are on the foot-pound side, and so I have to be just about 10, which is right at that hash mark there. And then if 0 is at the center line, that means 10.7 is the proper foot-pounds. And so that's that. And then one important thing when you're torquing on a bolt is you want to make sure that you're holding it properly. And so you don't want to be holding it and choking up right here. Another thing that you don't want to do is to add any sort of extensions or adapters if you don't have to, in order to have the right size socket on here. All of those things will affect the calibration of this tool, and it won't torque to the proper settings. So hold it out at the handle and then go ahead and tighten it down. and when I hit 10.7 Newton meters of torque, you should see the head and the handle flex. Like that. See how the handle wants to turn, but the head doesn't? That means you're at the right torque. All right. So now that you have the torque set properly, I can go ahead and add on my mount, add on the washer and the nut. Like that. Now that's where my nail comes into place. I can set it inside this hole here, like that. And that allows me to hold on to the axle portion while I torque down on the nut. There we go. And I can mount my trailer to my bike. There's another angle of what it looks like. Here we go. I've got my hitch mount. And ta-da. Time to pull a trailer.